Hello and welcome. Now, for the whole of 2023, I'm continuing my 4th year of a no-buy / low-buy, and this is my check-in for January, where we're going to talk about all the products I've used up, how many things came into my life, whether it was a gift, a hand-me-down, or something I purchased myself, and then talk about whether the purchase broke my no-buy rules or was within my allowance and kind of reflect on that. I'm also going to share with you the finances of my life, so everything I spend, and at the moment I'm not making an income, but when I do, fingers crossed, hopefully make an income to also share that, and yeah, look at where my money goes, and also maybe set some different intentions each coming month with my finances to try and save as much as possible, because I am currently not working, I don't have an income, I am just trying to make my savings stretch as far as it can whilst living in one of the most expensive countries in the world, so that's an interesting challenge. And then I also want to talk a little bit about my Will and Create project, my intentions to try and really engage with the things I want to and not get caught up and distracted by constantly watching things or just not doing the things I really want to do for whatever reason, that I seem to not be able to have the will forces I have even though I have the interest to do something. So I'll talk about that at the end, and the point of these videos each month is kind of to keep myself accountable, but also I really just love being able to hear where you are at with your challenge. If you want to have a little check-in with the comments, share with me how your rules are going, if you're able to stick with them, maybe you've had to change them because they're not quite as effective. Where are the things that you're having quite a lot of success? How many purchases have you kind of wanted but been able to walk away from in the month? Or what are some of the things that you've had a few slip-ups, and what have your reflections been around? Like, if you feel up for it, if you're interested, I would love to have a little check-in with you in your journey in the comments below. So let's jump in. The first area I usually share is all the products I have used up. So this month I used up a total of 3. One was a bar of soap, which I don't have because a soap just disappears and there's no packaging involved. I guess maybe it had packaging in the beginning, but anyway, it's gone now. The next was a lip balm. This is what I have left of the packaging because I like ripped it open to get the last little bit at the bottom. This is like a Dr. Hauschka lip balm. It's my favorite, and I've had several throughout the last couple of years that I slowly use up. And the last thing I used up, which I wasn't really prepared to use up, but it just kind of happened, which is this. It's like a whiteout tape. I rely on this a lot because I'm dyslexic, so I'm often spelling things completely wrong or writing the wrong letters backwards and things like that. And with my bullet journal, yeah, I use it a lot just to correct things, or maybe I write the wrong number down. So this is something that I was kind of sad when I used it up because, yeah, I've had it for a while and now it's gone. And then I'll talk about the replacement of it when we get to the purchases. So those are the things I used up. Now I have 2 gifts, and these are 2 gifts that I actually received last year in December, but I forgot to include them for some silly reason. And so one was this beautiful little notebook. So my friend Zila, who's also the lovely human who's given me a lot of makeup in the past, sent me this for Christmas. So there's like a little notebook, and it's made in Camp Hill where I used to be before. And then she also sent me this little ColourPop Super Shock shadow because she knows how much I like the Super Shocks, and it's like a color that I really like and use a lot. So these were 2 beautiful gifts that technically came to me last year, but I forgot to include them, so I'm adding them in now for January. So I'm very, very happy and grateful for those. And then the last thing I got, which was more of a hand-me-down, was from one of my other lovely friends, which is this like big black scarf. It's kind of like a bit transparent, but I have really been enjoying this. And I don't know, I kind of just had a moment of feeling like I wanted to wear a head covering more, so I started wearing it for a while. Obviously my hair was like put back when I was doing it, but here, I'll show you what I was doing. I've been doing it for the last few weeks. I feel like the sun's out now, so I'm a little less inclined, but especially in the winter, it feels like a nice thing to do sometimes. So I just had it like this, but my hair was put back, so you only see this much of my hair. And I don't know, there's like just moments where sometimes I feel like I want to be more modest, or I want to just be more hidden in some way, or like just kind of protect myself a little bit more. And I just have these moments, I think, especially when I'm struggling, and I think in wintertime it can really be like that, where you just feel a little overwhelmed with your own self, and then like having the world be closely in your space, sometimes it just feels like nice to protect yourself. And so I was talking to my friend about it, and I said I don't have any scarves, but I was really interested in this, and so then she offered me this one, which was so lovely of her. So I really enjoyed that over the month of January and also into February as well. I guess I'm still using it. And yeah, there's moments where I wear it and there's moments where I don't. And the back of my earring just fell off, so we're gonna click that back on. So that was my hand-me-downs. And then to the purchases. So weirdly, when I like finished up this, I was kind of like, do I want to repurchase it? Because I do feel like it's wasteful, right? I've like used this thing and now I have this whole like plastic contraption that just goes in the bin. And so I was a bit like, oh, I rely on it a lot because like I said, I make mistakes all the time, but I wasn't sure I was going to repurchase it. But then I did go and look in the store and I found a new one. And what I liked about this one is it's actually refillable. So this opens and you can take it out and then put in a new one, and then you only get rid of that bit in the future. And I also got one that's like 14 meters long. I think this was only like 8 meters long, and it lasted me for like 2 years. So I thought that like, okay, get one with longer length and maybe it will last me longer and it will feel a little less wasteful. And I am so glad I bought it because I went for about a week without it, and then I was like, this is just annoying me. I keep making mistakes everywhere and I can't fix it and it's frustrating me. And I know that's like such a dumb little thing to like consider, but I do feel as though, yeah, it's helpful sometimes to just spend a little bit of time realizing like what is actually a necessity and what can you live without, and kind of like learning that and learning those compromises. And yeah, maybe people would think like that's a waste of time to like consider just buying like a Tipex thing and to like put energy thinking about that. But for me, I was like, yeah, is that actually valuable? Turns out it is, and I repurchased it, and I feel like it's not really a break of my rules because I was replacing something I ran out of, and I did sit with it and consider it as like an active like exercise to be like, do I need this? Do I not? So for me, I was very happy with that, and it's obviously also quite a cheap item. I think it was €4.50. So that was the one purchase I made this month. And yeah, I feel as though when it comes to the purchases, so like the last few years, in 2022 I purchased nothing in January, in 2021 I'd purchased 3 items, and in 2020 I'd purchased 4. So I feel like there is an improvement as I go along. I also find that sometimes in like the first month I can feel really like encouraged to really not purchase as much because I've just like finished and done all the tallying from the last month in December, like all my results. And so then I have this motivation of like, yeah, I want to reduce my shopping. So I do find that kind of a motivation, and I think that's why it's like one thing and it's not that bad. There was quite a few purchases that I had, like different things I put on my wish list, which I think is really helpful thing to do when you have something you're interested in getting, to like put it on a wish list. So even though I only purchased one thing, this is all the things that went on my wish list during the month, or like things I thought about. I was like, oh, maybe I should purchase. I didn't get too far in the process, but that's what happens for me. Instead of like going, oh, I want that, and then spending lots of time researching it and then going through that whole process, all I do is go, oh, I want that, and then I stick it on my wish list instead of sort of putting my energy behind the sort of research process, which for me is often what can be a part of the shopping addiction anyway. So these are the things that came on the list that I didn't purchase, and I didn't spend too much time researching, maybe like a little bit. I made like 1 or 2 Google searches. But a jewelry stand, earrings to replace one of my studs that broke. I've only got like 4 pairs of earrings, and so the ones that I wear normally every day, I lost one of them, which was sad. And then another part of it broke off. And then I was also wanting some scrunchies. I have one scrunchie, but because I was wearing the headscarf, I was putting my hair in a bun a lot more, and I don't like just a normal elastic tie for that. I like scrunchies, but I only had one, so I was like, oh, I need scrunchies. I also was like, headscarves, I need to find a headscarf, but then my friend let me have hers, which was really lovely, or one of hers. There was also this really beautiful Madonna and child postcard that I saw in the store that I really wanted to get, but I also put myself off. I like talked myself out of it. Also this nail polish in the color light rose, which I thought was beautiful, but I also talked myself out of that. A yoga mat. I was like, I need to start exercising, and I used to have a yoga mat, but I gave it away to someone, and so then I was looking into the yoga mats. There was like one from Lululemon or from Jade, something Jade, but I didn't get it because I was like, if I get a yoga mat, first I need to exercise and practice building that habit, and then if it is something that I consistently can get into, then maybe I can reward myself for building that habit by purchasing the thing instead of purchasing the thing and then hoping to build the habit, because I feel like that's what happens all the time with like new hobbies or new inspirational ideas. We buy the things but we don't actually participate in the habit. Some new workout leggings, because I have 3 pairs but 2 of the 3 are kind of see-through if I bend over. It's okay because I like, when I'm out in public I do mostly running, but I don't know, I was kind of like, I feel like that would be nice to get some leggings, or just to go along with that like whole like fitness moment I had. Ballpoint pen fine replaceables, because mine were like running out. I only have 1 left and it's about to run out, and then I've got 1 replacement left and then it's it. And so I was trying to look for these replacements but I couldn't find any. A notebook for some morning pages, because I've been doing my morning pages in the back of my school book and it's kind of starting to run out. I mean, I don't do morning pages every day. I try, and my goal at the moment is try to write 1 page of writing a day. So when I say morning pages, I mean that very loosely. The goal is that I will eventually be doing 3 stream of conscious pages each morning, but at the moment I haven't built up to that. So I've just been like writing 1 page each day, not every day, just like when I can really get myself there. And so I was like, oh, I need a notebook for that. But I was like, no, keep using this. And then also I have my other notebook that I bought for German, and I was like, well, I can use the back of my German notebook because this is like I've only used a few pages at the beginning. So I found a different replacement idea for that notebook. And then this hair oil by Kindia, which is one that my friend had and she recommended it, and I've really been struggling with like itchy scalp, especially during the winter. Also, there's a lot of calcium in the water where I live, and I feel like that was also contributing. So anyway, those are all the things that some of them I was like, yes, more interested, spend a bit more like energy looking into. Some of them I was like very tempted to get a notebook, but I spent enough time realizing that I could deal without it for a while. And also that's another thing for me. It's like, I think what I really need to do with myself is really build up the habit, and then once the habit is kind of more established, then reward myself by purchasing a thing to contribute to making that habit go further, rather than go, I want to exercise more, okay, I'm gonna buy more leggings and a yoga mat. Like for me it doesn't work, because then I slip off the bandwagon at some point. I know it's really hard for me to establish habits. Why else am I still on a no by 4 years in? But those are some of the things that I saw, was tempted to buy but didn't. And yeah, maybe that's kind of not that interesting to hear, but that's just the process. Just so you know that even if you've been doing it for a while, there's still this like temptation that things are going to come up. The goal is to get to a place where you can be able to talk yourself out of something, or to rationalize it in a different way, or to put it on a wish list. And then what will happen, I reckon, in like a few months, is just what's happened before. I'm going to go back to that wish list and I'm going to realize, I don't know why I wanted that. Like, why did I want that thing? I have no interest in that now, you know, 4 months down the line. So those were the things. Now we're going to talk about the finances. So for the month of January, I made $0 because I'm still unemployed, but I'm hoping in February or March I'll be able to find some work. So I spent a total of €1,029.25 from my savings. Makes me sad, but such is life, and I'm still very grateful to be here and even to have the savings so that I can be in this position, because basically I've moved to Switzerland and you can't work for the first 6 months, and so I have to just live off the means that I already have. That's just sort of like the stipulation with my student visa and being here on an English passport. I don't know how they decide that, like, but if you're European, which was Brexit ruined my life, but if you're European I could have worked straight away, but because the whole Brexit situation divorced England from the EU, then I have to wait 6 months, like if I was using my Australian passport or any other country that isn't in the European Union. Anyway, that's weird visa stuff that's not interesting to you, so let's move on. For my bills, I spent a total of €487. So I spent about, my rent varies depending on how much I clean the house, or like how many hours I put into caring for the house as well while I'm here, because I live with an older gentleman who's a family friend, so sometimes I'm cooking for him or cleaning or helping in the garden. And there's been some, yeah, he's been in hospital actually the last month, so I've been doing some other different things for him that involves like yeah, more support, which I'm happy to do, but that means instead of like paying 350 in rent, then maybe I pay 300. It kind of like varies. I don't really know how to explain it that way, but it's always between like 350, 300 or 360, 300. It just depends on how much happens in the month. So that was the majority of my bills. I also had my health insurance, my phone, and then I also had to pay 100 franc to the government because I'm not using Swiss health insurance. I'm using a different one because I'm an international student. So that was a weird bill that I wasn't expecting, but anyway, such is life. The next area was groceries for 270 euros and 29 cents. So with groceries, I actually drive to Germany to get my groceries because it's a lot cheaper, and I do love to get organic or biodynamic Dermator food. I think for me it's somewhere where I do want to invest my money because I have the luxury to, so I want to choose to get organic when I can. And to be able to afford that, it means I drive to Germany, and then I also have a student card. So All Natural or Unnatural, I think that's the name of the store where I like to shop. I use my student card on Tuesdays. I get 10% off my groceries, and then because I am in Switzerland, I then can stop at the border and they can give me my tax back, or like they stamp it, so then the next time I go back I also get tax off. So it means that I'm able to buy like nice organic food, but I get to get it a little bit cheaper because I'm a student, and also because I'm going across the border to shop. So I'm very, very happy for that. And then also Germany is a lot cheaper than Switzerland, so that's also a bonus, which is why I do that with my groceries. However, I would say that this month I spent 270 euros. I would like to try and bring that down. My goal is to kind of be spending between 50 and 60 euros a week on groceries. So that's a goal that I'm still working on. And I found that this month I did do pretty well with sticking to my rules around my groceries, because I kind of wanted to stop buying sugar and snacks and like pre-prepared meals, because I find that that's obviously an area that isn't necessarily essential for my health and for eating. It's like maybe a nice indulgence and like happy to treat myself every now and again, but in general to do that. So I did pretty well this month. I didn't buy juice or chocolate or chips or all these little extra things that I would buy that in the previous months I have been buying, and that has been keeping my grocery bill much higher than it is at the moment. And I want to continue to bring it down, because I think this month in January I also bought like more cheeses, nice cheeses that I need, a few things like that. So just if I get more and more modest around what I actually need with my groceries, I find that it does make a big difference, especially because I'm buying like organic food, which is also often more expensive. But yeah, for me that's the compromise. Like I want to eat nice organic food, and to be able to do that I'm going to not be buying any filler food, any food that's more for snacking or not like my essential 3 meals a day, or what feels really right and healthy for my situation and what's good in my body, which is so different for each person. The next area was eating out. I spent 16 euros on this. Basically there's like a student youth section where I go and meet with other young people once a week, and then you pay basically like 5 franc, which is nothing, for a meal that we all cook together and prepare, and that's really nice. And so that's mostly where that money for eating out goes at the moment, because I don't want to eat out in Switzerland so much, because it's very expensive to sit down and eat at a restaurant, whereas if I was back home in Australia or America I would eat out so much more, but in this country it just doesn't feel like kind of worth it for me. Things, I spent 4.50 euros for this groundbreaking purchase of some Tipp-Ex. The next area was experiences. I spent 40 euro. What did I do? How do I not know this information? Oh, right. So I spent 40 euro on registering for German classes. I found this organization that offer German classes to sort of new people, often refugees who are coming to Switzerland. And so I can't really afford at this point to go into Basel and spend like $1,000 to do a full German course. I'm hoping maybe in the summer, once I have a job, I can save up and I will be able to afford that. But it's very expensive to do like a more, I guess, professional German studies. But I did found this group, and it's a really lovely community held space, and so I paid to register for those classes, which is a lot cheaper. So for the next like trimester, I think it's like €1 a class or £1 a class, and then I also bought the exercise books to go along with it. And you know, I did buy these books, but I feel as though I'm not really counting them. There's like another 2 somewhere as well. I'm not really counting them as like a break for my no-buy, just because simply they are for me to like learn German, and it does feel like a necessity because I want to study. I don't know, I'm just like not going to count a few textbooks as like purchases against my no-buy year, because it just feels like such a different process, if that makes sense. But I don't know, maybe that's me just justifying it. The other area was transport. I spent 46 euros and 72 cents, which I guess that was because I've been using my housemate's car. And then what was the transport for? Oh no, wait, yeah, it's the petrol. It's the petrol I put in my roommate's car, because I've been using his car while to visit him and bring him what he needs when he's been in hospital, and then also just to like go and get my groceries in Germany and things like that. So I put gas in the car. I guess that's what transport was. I also bought quite a lot of vitamins. My health wasn't great in January, probably the winter time, so I bought some probiotics, and then I also bought some iron supplements and a few things. I also bought a homeopathic remedy as well to replace one that I'd used up, and that was 124 euros and 74 cents, which is like a huge expense and not something I'm expecting in the coming months. It was just for this particular month for my own health, and then some of the remedies or like vitamins that I bought are going to last me for the next handful of months, but it was like a higher upfront investment now, and hopefully that will support my health in the future and save me money. And then also they should last a while, the ones I did purchase. And then I also spent 40 euros on a mirror for the car, because I was driving, the first time I drove his car, backing it up out of the driveway. It's like a tiny little garage. It's a tiny little car. It's a smart car, if you know what they are. They're like a two-person car. It's ridiculous. I've never seen such a small car in my life, but it's a really tight space, and as I was backing out on one side, the mirror got caught on the garage door and popped out the glass, and the glass mirror part fell on the ground and smashed. So I just got a replacement for that. And that cost me 40 euros, which I'm very, very happy about, because I genuinely thought it was going to be like 200-300 franc, because I have no concept of like how things work in this country, and I just assume everything in Switzerland is going to cost me a ridiculous amount of money, because so far everything I've done has done that. It has cost me a lot of money. So that was all of the finances for the month. And then in terms of like my will and create project, so I set myself 4 categories or 4 areas I wanted to track. One was like this eurythmy movement. I really didn't do any during the month. It was just one that I couldn't bring myself to or inspire myself to do. And I think because I was also trying to track walking or like trying to track other movement, I just didn't get that inspired to do it. I also had painting and drawing. I did painting and drawing 4 times throughout the month, so really wasn't that many. Walking, I also had 5 like big walks where I actually went for a walk like up a mountain for like an hour, 2 hours. Otherwise I walk to class every single day, so I don't always go for a walk because I've already walked for class. But when the weather's really nice like it is today, I'm gonna go for a walk when I finish filming. Then yeah, and I will go for a few hours up the mountain, which will be really fun. So walking 5 times, and then to write 1 page a day, I had that goal, and I only did it 4 times in January. So January was really not the month for that process. I have started to see why it's hard for me to do some of those things. I'm trying to read the Atomic Habits book, because I feel like I need to find a different way of hacking the way that I take on new things. And so for the month of February, I'm actually planning to just track 3 things, because it seemed like that was what felt more manageable. So my goals for January is to move my body. So that's like, maybe I'll go for a run, maybe I'll go for a long walk, maybe I'll do like 30-minute exercise video or something from YouTube. Whatever it is, that's like one of the goals. To write 1 page a day, which is the same goal as I had last month, but we're already the first week in and I can say I'm already doing better. And then my goal is to really be screen free with my laptop. I'm planning to actually not have my laptop at all during the week and only use it on the weekends, because like at this point in time my studies doesn't require that I have a laptop all the time. It's mostly like reading, and I can write in my notebook. I don't need to do that on my laptop. And to really just limit my time with the laptop, because I find that's where I will go on YouTube, I'll go on Netflix, and then just hours of my time gets eaten away. So I'm slowly trying to find these ways to improve, but like in terms of that in January, it just wasn't great. But it's so important, I think, to track things even when they're bad and see that, and then you can try and improve it slowly. But you need to be able to observe your habits first before you maybe change them, and then to start making things flexible, making things appropriate for what's coming. So instead of tracking 4 things, I'm going to track 3 things. I'm going to change maybe how I do them and what actually needs to come first. Instead of me saying I want to paint and draw and do all these things, what I need to do first is actually get off the computer, which is the thing that's limiting my time. And then, so I'm trying to find these ways, like slowly but surely, and understand myself. So anyway, that was my check-in for January. Sorry it was such a long, rambly update. I feel like that's what these videos are going to be. Just like me sitting down, having a little chill check-in, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I've given up on trying to like have succinct 10-15 minute videos, so I hope you don't mind that they've gotten longer over the last month or since I've come back to YouTube, but it's just kind of easier to feel like I can just flow more freely instead of like quickly trying to get in all the information. So anyway, I'd love to know how your no buy or low buy is doing, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.